right, everyone. Kitty and I welcome you back to our week 7 video lesson. You know the drill. Flashcards first. So we've moved on to this next group, and these flashcards include both steps and skips, seconds and thirds. So be sure that you're going through, using this as a sight reading exercise, paying attention to the notes, rhythms, and finger numbers beforehand. Play it through, and then feel free to try to transpose or do any other extra activities that you'd like to use with these flashcards. So here's the first one. Here is number 2. Here is number 3. And here is number 4. All right, so as usual, feel free to take your time on these. Use this as a warm-up. You can do one of these flashcards each day that you practice and save the others for different practice sessions. Totally up to you. Let's go ahead and jump into the first piece in our book today, which is Royal Procession on page 58. So at the top of the page, we are talking about our half rests and whole rests. So we learned about quarter rests, which kind of look like a little bit of a squiggly line. These two are just showing where we want to have 2 beats of silence or 4 beats of silence. I remember that a half rest looks like a hat because it goes on top of the line. Whole rest looks like a hole in the ground because it goes below the line. But you can also usually gain that from context. So remember those, and then let's go ahead and look at this little rhythm warm-up that we have right here. So in our piece, Royal Procession, we have a pattern where we have to play and hold our left hand while playing our right hand at a different rhythm. And that can be a little bit difficult to coordinate. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this rhythm warm-up, and we're going to tap. You can tap on your lap. You can tap on the wooden part of your piano. Doesn't matter. And we're going to count out loud and hold this and note the tie in the left hand. So 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 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 rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So make sure that you're able to play each hand, tap each hand when it's supposed to, and go ahead and feel free to practice that a few times if you need a little bit of work on that coordination. It is surprisingly more difficult than it looks to be able to just keep one hand still while doing something with the other hand. So it's totally okay if you need to practice that a few times. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look at Royal Procession. So we're going to be in a C pentascale for with both hands for the entire piece. I would go ahead and go through and circle some of your, circle the ties in your left hand. So where we have these left hand chords that are tied to each other and the sustained G's in the left hand on the second page, I would go through and circle both of those. Okay, so I'm going to circle into my little X. For all of the ties that are in the left hand, and that can just really help to remind you, not to re-articulate that. If you also need to, you can go through and circle all of the half rests and whole rests. So that way you can see exactly where you want to make sure that your right hand isn't just holding on and playing for the whole measure, but that you want to make sure that you're actually resting where it chose to rest. So it may be helpful to also go through and circle all of the rests, if that would be helpful. So let's go ahead and give this a try from the very beginning. As usual, this piece calls for pedal, but we're going to go ahead and practice it without for the first time through, and I'm going to count the beats out loud. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent job. So go ahead and keep practicing this one using some of the practice techniques that we've done before, counting, saying finger numbers, saying note names, and then also see if you can get this one up tempo a little bit. And see if you can identify the form of this piece. So our ABA, notice where lines are the same, where are they different, where are they almost the same, and that will be great. So let's go ahead, and once you are finished with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the next page. And we're going to be looking at study in broken thirds. And this exercise here can also be called study in broken chords, because we're doing that where we're playing those 3 notes up and down instead of playing them all at the same time. We're just playing. So let's go ahead and take a look at study in broken thirds at the top. So our pattern for this one is always going to be the finger numbers 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, rest, 2. And then we're going to jump up so that now if I started on C, now I'm jumping up and my thumb is starting on D. And I keep doing the same thing. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, jump up. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, jump to F. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, jump to G. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 2, jump, etc. So you'll do that starting from middle C, jumping up each white key until you get to the next C. So you're going to go all the way up. And if you want a little bit of a challenge, you can reverse it when you go down. So go 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, jump. 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 So that would also be a great way to practice this one if you wanted to. And then you're going to do the exact same exercise with your left hand, starting 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, jump. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, jump. 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, jump, and so on and so forth. So go ahead and pause the video and make sure that you practice that, going all the way up and then coming down, and with the left hand going down and then coming back up on each subsequent white key. And when you are done with that, we'll come back and look at our rhythm study. So for looking at our rhythm study down here, we're going to go ahead and do what we always do and circle our ties, because the tie is going to be a really important factor in how this rhythm sounds. So we're just going back and forth here in the beginning between our fingers 1 and 3. So starting on C with our right hand, 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1. Now one more time. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, and so on. And then the same thing with the left hand. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. 1, 3, 1, 3, hold, 2, 1, jump. And you're going to go with your right hand on that one all the way up, and then you can bring it back down if you want. And the left hand, you're going to go all the way down and then come back up. So make sure that you work through all of those exercises. Give those a try. And those are also great ones to use in your practice as warm-up activities. All right, so next we're going to be looking at these bass clef melodies on page 62 and 63. Don't ask me why, but almost invariably, people struggle reading bass clef more than reading treble clef. I don't know why. It doesn't matter if you sing in a bass range or a treble range, or if you're left-handed or right-handed, more people have trouble reading bass clef. So this is an excellent opportunity to practice that reading and maybe get a little bit better with it. So what I would like for you to do is to read through each of these bass clef melodies, first by playing through and counting the melody out loud, then by playing them through and saying the finger numbers, and then playing them through and saying the letter names out loud. And these are all really simple and pretty short, so you should be able to do that quite quickly. This is another one where you could do one on one day of practice, another on another day of practice, another on your third day of practice. So I think there's 5 right here, which would actually break up really nicely for a weekly practice schedule to do maybe one each day and practice it with all 3 of those steps is going to really, really enhance your learning of bass clef if you can do the counting, finger numbers, and letter numbers for each of these melodies. So choose how you're going to break that up in your practice, and then we will move on over to Surprise Symphony. So we're going to be talking about playing staccato, which is the opposite of playing with slurs. So instead of playing nice and smooth and connected, I'm going to pop on each note. So I'm trying to create playing that note for a short duration, and I'm also coming up, I'm keeping it kind of light and brisk with my hand, and that there's a very clear gap in between each note. A way that I think technically is easy to think about this is that you're kind of bouncing on the note a little bit. Also, you're touching it how you might touch something that you're not sure if it's hot. If you were touching a stove to try to see if it was hot, you might just touch really quickly and then bring it back as soon as possible. And so that's kind of how you want to approach playing notes that are staccato. They're also introducing the idea that we've already talked about. The idea of an octave is just the distance of 8 notes, which means it's the distance from one note to the next note of the same name. And this piece, in the very beginning, we're playing in octaves, which means I'm playing the same note name with my left hand that I'm playing with my right hand. So my left hand and right hand will be playing the same note names in this piece. So first of all, you can go through and pencil in our staccatos, which are pretty much consistent throughout this whole piece. And then also at the very bottom, in the second to last measure, we have a quick hand position change where our left hand jumps up to grab which note? Where do we have the little circled one at the bottom. What is that note? The B. So your left hand is going to jump up to play a B right there. And then at the very end, jump back down to a C pentascale position. And that also happens at the end of the first line of the piece. That whenever there's a circled finger number, that is going to alert you that there's been a hand position change. So same thing on that top line. We're jumping down to B right there. So let's go ahead and give this piece a try, playing it through nice and slowly. And I'm going to say the letter names, since when our hands play together, they're playing the exact same note. So starting in a C pentascale position. 1, 2, ready, go. G, E, hold, F, F, D, B, 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 G, back to C, B, 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 F, B, B, D, C, B, C, rest. Excellent job. So go ahead and practice that one through a couple of times. Maybe try finger numbers, try counting, and see if you can get that one up to a little bit of a brisker tempo. And that'll really make it nice and alive. And so once you've finished with that, we'll go ahead and look over at Hungarian dance. The first thing to circle here would be our repeat signs. So whenever you have these two lines with the dots, we've seen repeats for a whole piece before where they want us to repeat the whole thing. But in this case, we have two different sections with repeats. And this is going to tell us that we're going to repeat everything that is within these open, we have the open and closed repeat sign here. So we're going to repeat, we're going to do the first two lines twice. We're do this and then this again. And then we do the second two lines twice because we have a repeat on each one. We also have in this piece a blend between staccato and legato. So you might want to go through and circle your slurs or highlight your slurs so you're aware when you're going to have that difference in texture between those two. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to be in a C pentascale position, and we're going to try this from the very beginning and saying note names out loud. Ready, go. C, G, 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 F, G, G, C, G, 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 F, B, B, C, C, repeat, C, G, 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 F, E, F, G, G, C, G, 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 F, E, B, C, C. Next line. B together, F together, E together, B together, E, E, F, F, G, C, G, B together, F together, E together, D together, G, F, E, B, C, C, C. Excellent job. So go ahead and practice that through a few more times until you feel really confident using various practice techniques. And then we'll come back and do the teacher part. And you're going to be playing high on the keyboard for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, go. Repeat. Excellent job. So that's a little bit of a speedy tempo, but I'm sure that you will be able to get there. So keep practicing and working with that one. And in the meantime, we will go ahead and look at your next piece in this book, which is Shepherd's Song. And this one is a little bit of a challenge piece for this week because it's a little bit longer than some of the pieces that we've had in the past. So your challenge for this week is to first go through and mark all the things that we might normally want to mark. So slurs, chords, ties, all of those kind of things. So I want you to go through and look for anything that might be helpful to mark. One thing that you should definitely do is look for hand position changes, which are signaled by notes that are in a circle. So if you see finger numbers that are in a circle, that means that the hand position has changed. And so you're going to need to figure out where is it going and when does it go back. So I'd like for you to do that. And then any other details, if you want to pencil in some note names or finger numbers or counts, that would be great. Practice with counting it. Practice with saying the letter names. Practice with saying the finger numbers. And then when you have it all together, we'll add the teacher duet, which I will play for you now. But learning this one and figuring out the process of how you're going to put all these elements together is up to you. So I'll go ahead and give you the teacher part. Count it in. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. All right, so keep up the great work on that piece and see how well you can do trying to work through the process of learning that all on your own. All right, so for our next piece, we're going to be looking at your supplemental packet, and we're going to look at I See the Light from Tangled. So some of you may have children who like this movie, some of you may like this movie yourself, but this is definitely a little bit of a newer Disney film. So our starting hand position is a middle C position where our right hand and left hand thumbs are sharing middle C. When we go over to page 2, we have a pretty big jump with our right hand. And for the first 3 measures of page 2, your right hand moves up so that your finger 3 is on A or that your thumb is on F. And then after those 3 measures, your right hand moves back down to E. So you're definitely going to want to circle those hand position changes. But other than that, our hands stay in the same place throughout the whole song. We also don't have any ties to worry about in this. And we don't have any black keys to play. So this one's actually not too bad. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. You can go ahead and start working on this one, and then we'll play through with the count. Yeah, let's do count. 1, 2, ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off. All right, so I'll go ahead and now record the teacher part, and you're going to be playing high on the piano for this duet. And so I would recommend that you practice this one using all of the practice strategies that we've been talking about so far, and we'll get this one up to a nice flowing tempo for the teacher part together. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, ready, go. Lovely. All right. So continue working on that one. And then our very last item for today is also in your supplemental packet. And this is the page that has the pieces Carefree and Determination. So these are two little challenge pieces for you from a classical repertoire book. So these are historical composers leveled towards beginners and those who are just starting piano, but we can still work on some music by historical composers for sure. So we have our pieces Carefree and Determination. And Carefree, we're going to be playing in a G pentascale position. And then if we look at Determination, your right hand thumb is going to be on a high C, and your left hand thumb is going to be on middle C. So you're both going to be on Cs, but they're going to be an octave apart. And I'm just going to go through and play these for you so that you can hear a demonstration of what they sound like. And then you can give these a try. These are, again, a little bit more challenging if you have a lot of time to practice and want to push yourself. Go ahead and try them, but there's no pressure either way. So I'm going to play these for a demonstration in case you want to work on them. Here's Carefree. Doesn't sound too hard, but can be a little bit trickier than it sounds. And then here's Determination. Excellent job. And if you are curious, on here, these notes that have the beam that go right under them like that. So we have a quarter notes here, half notes. Those are called eighth notes, and we count those as twice as fast as quarters. So if our quarter is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the eighth note is just going to go twice as fast, and we count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so that's how you count those notes. That to give you an idea of the rhythm in case this is a piece that you would like to add in for yourself as a little bit of a challenge this week. All right, so for practice this week, as usual, you have a practice guide in your weekly guide document that you are welcome to utilize. Continue to practice all of your pieces using the techniques that we've learned, and feel free to add in, I had a lot of repertoire this week, so make sure that you're breaking those up over a few days. And you are always welcome to, again, reference this video and use this video in multiple parts for your practice. All right, so for your worksheets and listening this week, you're going to have your normal little packet of reading activities and some activities from musictheory.net. We're also going to be looking at page 61 in your favorite book. So you're going to fill out these activities that we have at the top, number 1, 2, and 3. And then at the very bottom, we have a little bit of a listening exercise. So you're going to look at the 2 options that they have at the bottom. And it deals with where is the placement of a rest. So one of these versions has a rest in one place, the other one has the version in the other. So you're going to choose, did you hear 1A or 1B, 2A or 2B, 3A or 3B, okay? And so these are dealing with the rhythms. Again, so we have some differences between rests and a tie in the second one. So you're going to choose which one you hear. So here is number 1. Choose if you think this is A or B. And then here is number 2. Choose if you hear A or B. Here it is again. All right, and then here is number 3. Choose if you hear A or B. Here it is again. All right, so which ones? Make sure you lock in your answers. And it was all A's, and I'm sure that you got straight A's. It was A, and A. So hopefully maybe you got tripped up because you thought that I wouldn't do all 3 A's in a row. But go ahead and fill out the rest of those worksheet activities if you would like to. And for listening this week, you have a playlist by an amazing, not very well-known composer called Florence Price, who was an early 19th century composer of piano music, a piano teacher, a conductor, and a writer of a lot of different styles of music. And what I really appreciate about her piano music, and that I really wanted to include in this course, is composers who wrote music that had a variety of influences and a variety of styles in it, because the piano is not just a standard classical instrument. So she wrote very much in a classical tradition, but influenced by a lot of folk, Americana, and spiritual music. So she was able to really include a lot of genres and a lot of beautiful styles in her music, and I hope that you will absolutely love it. There's a lot of things that are very contemporary and really exciting, and that are also like beautiful and reference some historical styles. So I hope that you will love the pieces that are selected on her playlist. Again, identify a few traits that you think you hear in her music, and think about which piece is your favorite and why. And as always, I encourage you to do even more exploration.